that they were
hundreds of feet tall.
Yeah, that's what I had a Native American person write me directly below my video, and it was the discovery I made up in Idaho, and they wrote me about the legend of the giants and how they fought the giants. That took hundreds of Native Americans to kill one of them, and that they were eating them. That the giants would come and eat them.
Yeah,
and that's why they built their structures on the cliff sides that were hundreds of feet up. And that the giants couldn't rappel down, apparently, for some reason. Maybe they didn't have a rope strong enough. And the little paths on the side of the mountains were too narrow for them to tiptoe across to come over to. And that's why they did their structures on the sides and in the hills to hide from the cannibalistic giants.
Remember, in the end, nobody wins unless everybody wins. Come!
Okay, so what's happening here is the combination of a sawtooth wave, a square wave, and a sine wave, all three together, are making that star form, that pentagonal and hexagonal, with the shapes off the end of the star form. That tone, that tone in particular. Now, that tone in particular ties in with 180 hertz of all things, and 180 hertz matters because of the conch shells inside of the Indian mounds. And guess what resonates? Guess what? Yeah, conch shells found inside of Indian mounds.
Do you know what they used to make old cement? Is seashells, right?
Yeah.
Concrete.
Yes.
Concrete.
Yes. Concrete. Oh, hey. Concrete. You might be onto something there.
Yeah, exactly. Made out of the conch shell a bit. The limestone. It's a portion. You're 100% right, Campbell. That's a key part of it.
See on the screen now, what we have here is something my wife found. She was doing research on her family genealogy and found information on southern Missouri, which then led her to an explorer by the name of Dickinson. Dickinson was an explorer in the early 1800s who unearthed many different mounds. And what he found, what he said he found, and what he showed he found were giant skeletons of a lost race of giants, according to Dickinson, the explorer himself. On page 107 of the study about him, it talks about how he found giants of a lost race right here. Supposedly a gigantic lost race of mound builders. One facet of the mound builder myth. On the other hand, Dickinson was a trained physician, and it seems like he could recognize large skeletons when he saw one. And Dickinson then went on to find human bones down below ancient extinct animals.
Dickinson, can you zoom in on that a bit more too, please, brother? And shout out to Duchess. Thank you for all of your wife's wonderful work. And like that right there, the different layers are identical to what I see in the Badlands of Drumheller, Alberta, right by where I live. In this city's backyards, there's these mounds that flat-topped and alternating similar colors of these dirts, and that this is portraying that there's essentially levels of different giants buried within it. And it also, I can't help but how similar it is to that Freemason pyramid and all the steps on it. Kind of creepy.
It is, actually. Yeah. It is. Now look at the size of the trees in comparison to the size of the skeletons.
Yeah.
And now in the middle, they found in many of the middles of the mounds a giant skeleton holding a conch shell. Now the conch shell is the 180 hertz, and the 180 hertz, when you blow the conch shell, and it makes that tone. Guess what else is working on that tone? Transmission lines in the third harmonics of transmission for power in your power lines, which explains why they're building these power lines over the different mounds, because they're collecting this 180 hertz energy. Yeah. And now to seal the deal, look at this. I'll take you into what this guy found, and we're going to go through. This is from a painting that he did, or that he had commissioned, of his sails down the Ohio and Mississippi River Valley. And what he found was stuff like this in the rivers, stone heads, ancient carvings on the hillsides, labyrinths that they called them, huge mounded bastion forts, as they called them. And these are all cave paintings. Now, when he got to a place at the Ohio River, let me take you back to Google Earth now. This matters. We're going back to Missouri over here in the United States, if I can get the proper orientation. There we go. And we're going right down here to the town of New Madrid again, to our star fort, the 6x9 mile one. Now, right across the river over here is a place called Cave in Rock, Illinois. And at Cave in Rock, Illinois, this ties in with what my wife found, which is this. Let's zoom in and go take a quick gander and see. And they might have a better view of it here. Hold on. Let me see if I've got a closer zoom in view on the cave here. There we go. So the cave has some pretty interesting stuff in it, like an Ouroboros of a snake eating its tail, a symbol seen in other cultures around the world. And in the lower right-hand corner, what you're going to see is that look that you make when you find a 12 to 15-foot tall long skull.
Nice.
When you find the long skull in the Cave in Rock in Illinois, and look at what he's doing. He's making a little kind of ghoulish, but over here, we're going to go over and look at this guy, which is a younger version that's still mummified, but he's covering his eyes. Now, this matters. A viewer sent me something of I think they're called the Caracas mummies. Maybe that's not the name. Caracas. The Caracas mummies.
Caracas,
mummies. And the Paracas, hold on. Got to spell it right.
Paracas from Peru.
There they are. And what do? They cover their eyes. They're covering their eyes.
And they're always in that seated position too, yeah.
Yep, they're in this position right here. And now hold up, because they are from all the way down here at Peru, on the edge of our 666-mile-long star
by
fort.
the Nazca
right
lines.
in here. They're right from there.
And
so to have them all the way up here doing the same thing means they're connected, obviously. But to prove that they're connected, there's some other weird things that are in this giant panorama painting from across the country or across the Midwest United States. Huge mounds. And let me see if I don't have all the pictures open at once. Look at this.
No.
Oh,
now this is big. This is really big. This isn't just like a small little statue that they have carved here. They have it in a greater scene. I want to say, let me see if I can get the greater scene. There it is.
Wow.
So that's huge, right? And look at him. Look at him. The guy's an Indian guy from India with a bald and a third eye. Look, he's got the third eye.
Yeah, or
he's got a third eye. Yeah,
come on, he's got the third eye. He's got a goatee. He's bald. That's a llama or something from over in Asia.
Where is this?
So,
Mississippi Valley.
Yeah, 1800s Mississippi Valley.
Wow.
Okay, now, so this guy went across and started excavating all kinds of mounds. He documented everything across the area. He was part of something that they ended up calling the mound controversy. And I want to tell everybody who's listening now, you need to get on this. You need to start looking up Dickinson, Dickeson, and mound controversy. Apparently, there was a huge controversy about who built them. And these naturalists, including a guy named Lyle, who ties in with earthquakes and volcanoes of all things, Lyle got involved with this. According to page 108, Lyle shows up on the scene to debunk Dickinson. And Lyle's a naturalist who Darwin quoted. In his voyages across the ocean, Darwin brought Lyle's books as inspiration of his wonderful volcanology work, where he went into the layers of the earth and put numbers assigned to them, which are totally bunk. And Lyle's a chill.
What's
Lyle's
hilarious, I've got to say, like, his voyage around, before he put forward this evolution thing, it was taught and accepted everywhere that it was catastrophism. Geology class was catastrophism. History was Atlantis, and that there was something big before that, and that everything happens by these mass catastrophisms. And then they came with Darwin and got rid of that idea and got rid of pretty much everything else that could have existed before it. Because YOLO.
here's an example of something that many mud flood people talk about when they show San Francisco houses and the houses built on top of mounds. So when you look at those San Francisco houses and they're built up on top of that, and you're like, why did they build that there? They built their houses originally on top of the mounds. And some people say it was just, because they liked building on top of mounds. I'll say they were probably using wireless power. And those houses were tapping into that. That's why they built into it. But look at the size of these, and look at the labyrinths and the nature of the size of some of these structures. I'm going to take you back to the start of this panorama, and let's see if we've even got it in here. I don't know if this is going to be it or if this is the first one. Or is it in the middle one? I got to find the picture to show it to you of all the pyramids that they found were just insanely huge, which I can't believe I can't find the picture of it now. Hold on. It's one of these. There's the head. There it is. Okay, so look at this. These are from actual voyages along the Ohio and Mississippi River.
What?
Look at it. Yes.
Like that's identical to
they tore them down.
In Peru, another one in Mexico City, another one in the UK and England as well, I believe, or in like the Scottish area. These they tore these down and during the mound builders controversy. So the mound controversy was, we had naturalists, which are people who just goofballs at the time in the 1800s who gave us all the right. We've got the naturalists, and they stepped in to deny that there were advanced people who built the mounds, and then they justified that to destroy them, and they used the dirt for this and that, and they tore them down. Now look at what else my wife found. Along with that, she found this at loc.gov, wherever that is. And this is a book, a documentation of all the star forts and all the Indian mounds that were torn down. It's 500 pages long. I will provide all the links for this. Yeah, I'll provide all the links. And they have pictures. They have pictures and descriptions. Sorry, I can promise once you send this to us, we will do a full video series reading out every one of those 500 pages and documenting these. That's absolutely nuts. And thank you, Duchess. Like, this is restoring history. So it's like when you found those certain petroglyphs and then they tried claiming that you were racist because you used some sort of wrong terminology. It's like you are literally rebuilding.
Really?
I said American Indian,
Aboriginal people's histories, and
it turns out, I said American Indian. I was supposed to say Native American. It turns out Native Americans wrote me and told me that they call themselves American Indian, so it's no big deal. They don't expect a guy like me.
It's never those. It's just everyone who's a different color that gets offended. That's come on.
You catch me on a good day. If you catch me on a good day, I might be a slight pale gray, depending on how long I stayed up or how much coffee I drank.
Put me out in the Australian summer, and I'm a black person. Come on.
Okay, you get nice and tan. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, man.
Healthy melanin, Now check it out. Look at this. So they documented these, and when they came through and tore them down, they tore these down. They measured the height elevation of them, and we get a side profile on height elevations and what was there. 140 acres on the inside, labyrinths, everything. So between this guy Dickinson and what he found as he's sailing down the Ohio River, long skulls, evidence of Peruvian civilization, and then according to Dickinson himself, 12 to 15 feet or more in size for height. And that's insane. That's 15 feet tall. We're talking as tall as a Victorian mansion's ceilings. In a Victorian mansion, we're talking that high. That's insanely tall people. And the depictions of them sitting down or curled up are almost up to his chest level, just as a point of reference. So, if you're a grown man here and they're curled up and their long skulls coming up to his shoulders. So if they stood, they would be way, way, way bigger than him. And that's in the cave painting from his own descriptions of what he found. Now, finally, to seal the deal, that were dealing with some weird stuff going on across the Midwest. Well, I mean, we already know that we already know that we're dealing with some weird stuff going on, but across the Midwest, the legend of the giants is carried on with the Native Americans who went to war with them, apparently. Did you guys know this?
Yeah. The red-headed ones. Sometimes
yes, I do. The Lovelock caves.
Well, they're talking about being hundreds of feet tall. That they were
hundreds of feet tall.
Yeah, that's what I had a Native American person write me directly below my video, and it was on the discovery I made up in Idaho, which I didn't even talk about yet, but the discovery I made up in Idaho, and they wrote me about the legend of the giants and how they fought the giants. That took hundreds of Native Americans to kill one of them, and that they were eating them, that the giants would come and eat them. That's why they built their structures on the cliff sides that were hundreds of feet up, and that the giants couldn't rappel down, apparently, for some reason. Maybe they didn't have a rope strong enough to hold them. And the little paths on the side of the mountains were too narrow for them to tiptoe across to come over to. And that's why they did their structures on the sides and in the hills to hide from the cannibalistic giants.
That's reasonable, right? Birds will nest up to avoid predators. If there was cannibalistic giants hunting us, so would we. And probably also while we were underground too.
Yeah, man.
But this 3 pyramid thing and this big, middle, small, this then mirrors with over in Egypt and all the other stuff we know about, the regular pyramid stuff with the 3 pyramids. So that's just in a nutshell of what I found. Long skulls in the United States, all the plates. Oh, and to top it all off, the earthquakes. I haven't even talked about that. That the earthquakes are hitting down below these areas on the pinnacle tips of them. So like the pinnacle tip of Scotland up here. Okay, where all of our old castles.
You became aware of these shapes and the geometry and the fractal in the beginning, right?
Yeah. Wow. I had no clue about star forts or the shapes or anything until I stumbled into Tartaria, and I went and looked, and I said, "Wow, that's really weird that shape is in California." And the pinnacle tip of the one in California goes right out to this is the San Andreas. That's the San Andreas.
Wow. We all want to live a healthier, more natural life, and after the last few years, many of us are a little wary of doctors and their wares. So, in my opinion, it's a good idea to learn how to grow your own. That's right, grow your own medicinal plants. But how do you do that? Well, you do it with the complete natural pharmacy for your backyard. Now, this garden medicinal kit actually comes with the seeds you'll need. It comes with the seeds of 10 easy-to-grow plants that you can grow in your garden. And then it also shows you how to turn these plants into salves, tinctures, teas, etc., that you can use to heal yourself and your family naturally. There's yarrow, the backyard wound healer. Marshmallow, which is great for any digestive issues you might be having. Evening primrose, a natural remedy for skin and nerves. And echinacea, which is the most powerful immunity plant, and everyone should be growing it, and much more. So click the link below in the description and find out some more information of how you can start to grow your own medicinal herbs and start to take charge of your own and your family's health. Click the link below and start to heal yourself naturally.